I've already left the house. We're heading to Tennessee. Mr. and Mrs. E's son passed away on, I believe, what's today? Today's Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday morning. I believe it was Tuesday morning that they passed away. Maybe it was Monday morning. Yeah, I think it was Monday morning, and I chose not to go into the meeting on Tuesday. So it's just been a really rough time for the true crime community and everything like that. Sorry, it's a little dark in here. Hi, guys. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. We're off. So I figured I'd let you guys know that we're off. So we'll run as long as we can run on this live until the sun comes up. And then we'll turn the camera around, and if we can, might not be able to because of the bar. Where's my camera? Yeah, they got a huge bar in the way, so I'm not going to be able to turn my camera around and do like a drive. I should have put it in a horizontal format, but I didn't. Maybe we'll do it later today. But anyways, guys, I hope you... Oh, let me turn... I keep forgetting. I gotta keep that light on for you guys to see me. It's dark out. It's really dark out. So, I haven't got quite on the interstate yet. I'm about 2.5 miles. Well, about 3 miles or 4 miles from the interstate right now. And then we'll be off to the races. I pretty much stay on I-75 until I'm basically in Tennessee, and then I get on one of the roads. I think it's like 24 or something like that. I can't remember which one it is, but I didn't get any coffee this morning, which sucks, but I do have a cooler full of soda, cold soda and water, and of course I have my handy dandy Bee Betty fan, Kelly Clarkson glass. She got me a Bee Betty fan got me this glass to commemorate Kelly Clarkson's last show. So anyways, it's kind of goofy. I hope everybody's doing well this Thursday morning. This was an unexpected trip. We were kind of hoping. We were very hopeful. We prayed a lot. We never lost our hope for coal. It's just sad. It's just sad. Lots of pain. But you know what? The E family is a resilient family. I know this hurts their soul. I mean, I can't imagine, but I know that they're going to do something amazing for coal and for the legacy of coal into the future. I just have a sneaky suspicion that, you know, his legacy will live on for a long time. He was a sweet kid. Sad, but anyways, let's kind of change the tune. Please just pray for the E family. I can't imagine what they're going through. So this morning, not a whole lot going on. Got up, I got Delilah, went over and hung out with my best friend yesterday. Her and her grandkids. Her grandkids are on summer vacation, so they were able to watch Delilah. So I gave them both $20, and I sent that over to Laura. What I didn't want is I didn't want them having to wait until I got back to get the $20 a piece. So I gave it to Laura. So if the girls are good and they want something before I get back, she's got the money to reward them for what they, for taking care of Delilah. But Delilah's situated. I didn't get a chance to call and check on her last night before because I had so much packing to do and cleaning up to do and getting like the dishes. You got to make sure the dishes are washed. And this morning I didn't have time to get the dishes out, but I didn't want them getting moldy, so I had to open up the dishwashers to let, to make sure the moisture gets out of the dishwasher. I had to dump my dehumidifier. I had to unplug my dehumidifier because there's no point in doing that. And of course I have my tabletop ice maker. I didn't dump that. I figured it was just 2 days. I checked it to make sure there's plenty of water in it. It's got plenty of water for the next 2 days. I didn't see any point in, unplugging that and dumping that out. If I was gone more than 2 days, it would be, more than 3 days, it would be problematic. But It's not a big deal. Good morning, everyone. I can't see your chat. I don't have my glasses on and I'm driving. But I'm so happy you guys are here. I really am. This morning I was I'm just melancholy, this is not a drive I want to make. This is not an event that anybody wants to be at, This is heartbreaking, but we are a family and we come together, and when our family is struggling, we are there. I wish I could have been there for Tony. Tony, I'm pretty sure that probably hurt Dana, but I had no ability. I mean, that was Oklahoma. I had no ability to get there in the short amount of time. There was just no possibility. It's a 2-day trip to get to Oklahoma for me, and I had 2 days to get there. I mean, I don't even think, even if I did drive when I finally found out when Tony's service was, I don't think I would have been there on time. I couldn't do it. And it's broken my heart ever since. I've cried a lot of tears over Tony, especially not being able to be there. Because, to be honest, anyways, I got to get off Tony. I'll start crying. Oh, good gracious, I'm starting to cry right now. So there's been a lot of pain, in this last 2026 year. And, sorry, guys. I'm glad I brought tissues, on this trip. I usually forget my tissues. But I know it's going to be a pretty emotional trip, so at any rate. I got, my best friend gave me a Jose Marti, which is, golly, it's this roasted pork sandwich, because she works at the sandwich shop and stuff like that. And so she had a Jose Marti in her refrigerator. I don't know who she brought it home for. It was like a day old. It wasn't like fresh, but she's like, "You want it?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I love Jose Marti." It's that freaking mojo pork. Holy smoke, it's the best stuff I've ever had. And she puts it on like a Cuban bread, like a Cuban sandwich, and she presses it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. And so I've got a Jose Marti sitting in my cooler. So as soon as the sun comes up and the hunger pain starts, I got me some breakfast. It's a Jose Marti sandwich. Good gracious. Good morning, folks. I'm now approaching the interstate. So for me, coming to a complete stop and seeing the chat is like, ain't happening, folks. I'm officially on the interstate. And as you guys know, one of the great things about the interstate, there are no lights, so there's no stopping unless there is a traffic jam. And at this time of morning, we should have easy travels. We shouldn't have any issues. Oops, I gotta get up in the wrong lane. Hold on, let me get back over to that lane. Am I going to Tampa? I am. I should know this by now. Good morning for the people that are coming in. They're like, what is Bullhorn Betty up to? I don't even know what the hell I'm up to. I'm heading to Tennessee to celebrate a beautiful life. So let's just talk about a few things. Do we have anything to talk about? Let's see what we got. I don't need this on. I can put this on. We know we're on this road for a while. I can't read, so might as well keep that on. Lynette, I don't really have a whole lot more to talk about related to Lynette Hooker. Lynette Hooker, 55-year-old mom. She disappeared in the Bahamas with her husband. Her husband says she was knocked off their dinghy on their way back to their yacht. The currents are so strong and fierce and ferocious that they just grabbed her and swept her out to sea. He didn't have time to do anything. And that's that. Now, we did get a location. Guys, it's we had somebody that's out there that is monitoring the movements of the Coast Guard on the Bahamas. And I was doing, people are starting to post the placement of the Coast Guard where they saw them at. And I was thinking that he was going to be closer to Lubbers, like there was going to be, like they were going to be able he was going to be able to find a place near Lovers because, again, you got Aunt Pat's Bay, you got the Abaco Inn, and that whole row of islands right there. And then they're in the Sea of Abaco, and then across the Sea of Abaco is Marsh Harbor. Well, down, like toward, because Marsh Harbor is kind of at a category angle from Lovers. It sounds like that they are almost like directly where their boat was on Aunt Pat's Bay. It looks like directly across toward Marsh Harbor, on the Marsh Harbor side, where his boat washed up, where it was tied off. It looks like down that side, further down, where the Coast Guard is. They're not even on the side where these folks were at. That's where I thought because Aunt Pat's Bay is on that side too. So I naturally thought that they were going to be, potentially there, or potentially there, or at Aunt Pat's, like somewhere around Aunt Pat's Bay, somewhere around Lovers, because we heard about we heard about the ore washing up on Lovers, and some people were saying, wait a minute, that ore didn't belong to them. But there were many people that said that they believed that ore looked very similar to the ores that they had. Now, if that is not their ore, we've got a lot of stuff missing that should have washed up somewhere. We still have the Conch Republic headdress. We have the teal green cover that she had over her black swimsuit. We have the black fanny pack. Her Apple Watch was found. Her phone. Where's her phone? We heard that they didn't take phones with them that day. However, what's his name has had a phone in his hand when he was on the dinghy. Allegedly, that's how they were able to determine that he was not in the areas that he said he was in, was from his phone. So, where are all these additional things that should have washed ashore somewhere in the Sea of Abaco? Whether it made it to Marsh Harbor, whether it washed ashore on Lovers, or whether it went back toward the Abaco Inn area. Either way you look at it, something of her should have been found. Like, everything has been missing. That tells me everything is together. That's what's telling me. That's why I keep thinking that she's inside of something sunk. She could be on land, but there was something somebody had said that is out there. They said that under all that sand is like hard rock / coral. That after, maybe a foot of sand or 2 feet of sand, there's almost an impenetrable rock or hard ground under all of that sand that makes it very difficult to dig in. And so that was a pretty interesting statement, because at first we had a broken ore, not a missing ore, according to the statement he told Lynette's mother, Darlene. The ore broke. When we heard Blaine's recording, it sounded like a pin where the oars went broke, but it didn't really explain how the pin breaking caused the ore to wash away. And again, some of these areas were in areas that he could have literally stood up in. So there was no need for the ore to disappear. Now that I know that he was on the side of Marsh Harbor, now that I know that he had made it to Marsh Harbor long before he said he did, we have to take that into consideration. So it looks like he went toward the Marsh Harbor area. and then backtrack back to the soulmate. Somebody was on that soulmate at 12:30 at night. People heard a splash at 12:30. There's 3 hours there. I don't see him leaving her in the water for 3 hours until midnight. I just don't see it. I think when it happened, this is just a theory of mine that's developing. I think, and again, a theory, I think Brian murdered her inside the boat. I think they got into another one of their knockdown, drag out fights inside their vessel, and something happened to her and she died. I think, I don't know how the flare shots play into all of this, but he either pointed it at her or she pointed it at him. That's the only thing I can think of, because from eyewitnesses, the flares went horizontally, not up in the air. That sounds like that was used for a weapon or used for defense. I don't know which. But I have a sneaky suspicion that he went toward Marsh Harbor in the dinghy. I think the dinghy engine was running, because again, I don't believe that she took off in the Keys. I think that we've determined that she's back in, and I think there was a statement from the Coast Guard, from the feds, that implied strongly before he went back. Went back where? Went back where? So when they said before he went back, that tells me he went back to the boat. That means they were on the boat. For him to go back to the boat, he has to already be on the boat and leave the boat to go back to the boat. So I think there was leakage in some of the statements. That's why it's so important to analyze the statements from law enforcement, because they say things that strongly imply certain things. For this one, I mean, it was two words. Back before he headed back, or headed back. Back where? It's the boat. It's the boat. So they have him going somewhere. He didn't tell them they went. He went, and he went back. Where? To the boat, in my opinion. I think when they talked about him going back, they're talking about him going back to the boat. He had no other place to go back to, because according to his statement, he never made it to the boat. So going back to where? The Abaco Inn? I don't believe it. He went back to the boat. And I think that that's what that statement meant. So I really do believe we finally have not only the implication of the band being on the boat, which is what got us starting to think, wait a minute, the watch is on the boat? They had to have made it back to the boat. All of us started thinking she had to have made it back. Most of us did. But I think law enforcement is really starting to catch up with us on that front, in all fairness. I do believe that they have them dead to rights, because you got to think about it. Who could have turned off the system at 9:30 if nobody was back to the boat? Who? A ghost? Did they call their friendly dolphin and say, hey, dolphin, can you jump aboard our yacht and turn our satellites off? I mean, Brian did have a phone, right? And there was nobody really moored around him, so his only option, in my opinion, was calling a porpoise. Maybe a shark. I don't know. Oh, my nose. Did you guys hear that? I'm stuffy. My allergies are so bad this time of year. I have been sneezing ridiculous. My eyes have been itchy. My nose has been gunky. I just, my nose is gunk, like gunky. If you guys are just coming in, or you're just waking up, or you're wanting to know what in the world are we doing, we are on a sad drive to Tennessee to celebrate Cole Harris's life. If you guys don't know who Cole Harris, which everybody on my channel should know who Cole is, it's Mr. and Mrs. E's son. Their oldest son lost his battle with cancer. Because of the Sebastian Rogers case, it brought a lot of beautiful souls into our sphere. And one of those, a few of those beautiful souls are the E family. And Mr. and Mrs. E were they were just sweet. They were sweet, they were kind, they wanted to meet me when I came here. I got to meet them, go out to coffee with them, sit down with them, talk about their child, because they have a child that has autism, and we were covering the Sebastian Rogers case, and their son's autism is much worse than Sebastian's. Middle E was supposed to be nonverbal, and because of the work that they've done, the therapy, the just never giving up, that the E family has gone through, their son is able to speak. And if you just meet them, they're so, I don't know how to describe them. They're just nurturing. They're no matter who you see in that family, you speak to them for 2 seconds, they're the kindest, sweetest people in the whole world, the whole blessed family. I mean, I've just never met such a kind, gracious, well-rounded family. I mean, it just, I don't know whether they raise their voice or not, but they're so sweet. I couldn't even imagine, I know that they probably, because normal people, get upset and, get a little angry or whatever. They're always so, and I think it's because of training for their son, their son being autistic and nonverbal. I think that they've had to train their bodies just to be calm, and not be too excitable because of him. And I just think that they've happened. It's heartbreaking, but they're part of the family. They're part of the Sebastian's army. We just had a crippling year for Sebastian's army. I will be honest with you. This is between Tony and Cole. It's really taken the oxygen out, Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. We got 72 people in chat this ridiculous time of morning. That's shocking. That's so shocking. If you guys are here, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. We were able to get a good, and just a shout out to everybody that participated and helped out with, money and stuff like that. Just everybody. There was one major donor, and she knows who she is. I just want to thank her so very much for all of her graciousness and just kindness that she's shown me and this channel. It's just all so sweet. It's all so sweet. But we're going to do something nice. I'm not quite sure what. I want to get, it's like, me, I'm always about silver linings. I'm all about, trying to think of what we can do to honor and respect for the future. And it's like, I almost want to give them a tree, like an oak tree or some type of tree that they can plant and watch it grow for years to come in honor of Cole. I don't know if that's something that they would enjoy, or like. I would assume that might be something special that we could do. I just don't want to, I don't know. I just have this thing, especially with Cole. I don't want to give flowers on this trip. I mean, I will. I just don't want to. I want to try to find something that will grow, that will stay alive long after, this celebration of life happens, and something that will truly grow in his honor, instead of perish. And so I'm just kind of thinking a little different, something maybe a little out of the box for the family, but I haven't made a decision. I'll wait until I speak to Karen and see what she thinks. But that's kind of like my thoughts, just want something that's gonna thrive. Okay, so getting back to Lynette, I hope everybody, let me see if I can, let me just say hi. We don't have a whole lot of people in front of me, so I got a time to say hi. Oh, the real me too. Hopefully, oops, I just deleted somebody. I just think I deleted somebody. Oops. Who was that? That was my political. Can I put it back on? Hide user, no, okay. Apparently I deleted something. Sorry, I probably shouldn't be touching this phone while I'm driving. Yeah, buddy, you can go around. Let me set my cruise control. There we go. All right, guys, it's nice to see you, Donnie Lynn. Hello, Aletha. Good morning. I'll try to catch the live later. Prayers for all. Thank you, Aletha. Have a great day. Have a great morning. Hi, guys. It's nice to see you. If you don't know who I am, I'm Bullhorn Betty. We're just kind of, you guys are riding with me. I've got two phones kind of hidden. I'm about 11 hours away from our destination. As always, we're not staying right in the heart of the event. You know, I learned over time for protecting myself because we have stalkers. I think the stalkers have retired and found another victim. Either way, if they're continuing to do the same behavior, it's unlawful behavior. I don't want to hear anybody that's doing what they're doing to me or Brittany J or these other people talking about grifting or crime or anything like that. Or I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because what you're doing is criminal, literally criminal. Not what we're doing. What we're doing is lawful. What you're doing is criminal. So I'm sick of people manipulating the situation. But either way, I don't think we have the stalkers that we once did for this channel. We still have one, but we're going to work on that. I'm still waiting on some stuff to finalize the paperwork. And hopefully I should have it by the time I get back, and maybe we'll start moving on. I got 2 lawsuits I'm going to be filing. Obviously, Beer Can Island lady, Peggy, she's awaiting service of a cease and desist letter. So once I get that in, I may just go ahead and file suit without it because she's avoiding it. But BS is the one I'm going after, and that's the one that's going to take some time to get through, and it's going to be a federal lawsuit. So I've been working on that for some time. I kind of set it to the side. So while I waited for information, but I've been following up on information. I've been getting, some stuff in that needs to be organized before we move forward, because once we move forward, we need to have all of our ducks in a row. So anyways, Lynette Hooker out in the Bahamas, we've been talking about for several weeks, since April, since we learned about it at the beginning of April, right after Easter. We found out that this poor lady fell off the boat, and at first, that initial report, you believe it, right? You believe it, but you start working on it, and you allow the case to kind of lead you where it leads. And during the research, some of the statements that Brian was making couldn't be even though we had plenty of records, could not be corroborated. For example, the conditions that he was talking about at 7:30 in the evening could not be corroborated. Nobody else saw the events that he saw. He says he saw them. We do have eyewitnesses that said, yeah, I kind of got bad later in the evening, around when? 9:30. You notice something? A lot of stuff happened at 9:30. We hear that the weather started getting worse. We hear that at 9:30 there was a heavy splash in the water. And we also hear at 9:30 the satellites went down on the boat. So a lot of stuff happened at 9:30. And I think 9:30 is when Brian decided to go and conceal his crime. I think that's when he got Lynette off the boat and started doing. Now what happens is, everything we're learning about cadaver dogs, she needed to be dead in a position for about 3 hours for them to pick up that decomp. So if we were to kind of put the nuts and bolts together on this, I think the dinghy, depending on how they're storing the dinghy, might have the evidence that they seek for movement, because she wasn't on the boat for 3 hours deceased. So I think when Maggie was on the boat previously, she might have hit. We don't know what Maggie did on that boat. We saw Maggie on that boat while or shortly after Brian was released from jail. So he wasn't arrested until the 8th. He wasn't released until the 13th. So it was between the 8th and the 14th, in my opinion, that we saw Maggie on that boat, maybe even the 15th. But I know that he did all these interviews on the 13th, and by the 14th he was leaving the island, after telling everybody he's not leaving until he finds his wife. Within less than 24 hours of making those statements, he's on a plane heading back to the United States of America. He lied to everybody. He doesn't know how to behave because he knows what he did, in my opinion. And this is really, really a problematic case for me. We're in a murder investigation, folks. We're not in a criminal investigation. They have upgraded this case to a homicide. There's only one person that this lady was with. They're going after him whether they find her body or not. They've got enough evidence right now to prove that he lied about everything. And if he lied about that and his wife disappeared, where the hell is she? And if they can prove that they made it back to the boat, he's done. He's cooked. Whether they find her or not, he's going to prison. He's being arrested. It's just a matter of time now. Because the feds do their cases differently. They keep their eye on the prize. So they have him probably. They probably know exactly where he's at. They keep their eyes on them, but it's the federal government. They don't care. They'll let you move freely throughout the United States while they build an investigation for you. Because once they build the investigation and they have an arrest, they're coming to get you. And there's only so many places you can go. But if you try to get on a plane and go to a different country, they're coming to get you. You know, there's nothing you can do. Our federal government builds the case, has a rock solid case before they ever even put the handcuffs on somebody. So when the handcuffs go on Brian, and it's the U.S. government, he's done. He's toast. And, like Melanie says in our chat, just like Ashley Banfield says in her chat, tick-tock. Like I said, we're on arrest watch. We've been on arrest watch for about a month. We've told you guys that we're literally one test result away from an arrest. Now that they're back out there, they're going to find something. I truly believe that they've got, if they keep working that area that they believe she's at, they're going to find her or some evidence. All they need to do is find one freaking thing out there. But they have the rove. They're going to be out there for a while. I think they're going to comb that sea floor. They're going to comb that floor in its entirety, and anything that's out of place, they're going to send a diver out to physically inspect it. I'm pretty sure that they've already got their maps to quadrant there, because you got to remember, when they do investigations like this, it's almost a similar investigation that they do on land. If you notice, any time when we do investigations or searches on land, we quadrant the areas up, and we clear quadrants of areas. We don't go in there and just willy-nilly look. We have a location, we have XYZ coverage in that location, and then you need to start and process that location. And sometimes it's tedious work. We don't do that tedious work on the Bullhorn Betty channel. When I go out there, I'm not looking for evidence, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of missing person cases, sometimes law enforcement doesn't want you out there, because you can trample on evidence. Because we're not going out there looking for evidence, we're looking for people. And when searchers go out there looking for people, they're not looking for microscopic evidence. This is a little bit different. They don't know where the victim is. So they're going to be wanting to look for any type of trace evidence while they're out there. So this is where law enforcement excels, because they keep all of this stuff top of mind. They quadrant it out, they go through it piece by piece, section by section, until that quadrant is cleared, and then they move over to the next quad. And that's typically how they process these areas on land. Well, I have to think that that same approach is done for sea, because sea is a mass underwater, right? I mean, the footage, like, she's not going to be floating in the water. If she was floating in the water, we would have found her. She's going to be somewhere, either in something or hooked to something or weighted down with something to keep her underwater. As crystal clear as those waters are, I just don't think he would have risked it. I just don't think he would have risked it. I feel like he would have weighed her down with something. He, is there a tarp on their boat that they use? Could he have wrapped her in a tarp, to keep her in there? Is there a bag? I saw a lot of those big bags. Like, there was one bag that had all of those ropes in. She could have fit in that bag, right? He could have put her in that bag and tied something to it. I mean, how many bags are like that? Like duffel bags, large, extra large duffel bags. I have to think that they have a few. Duffel bags would be perfect for their type of lifestyle. They fold out to hold a lot of stuff, and they roll up to nothing. So a duffel bag a large duffel bag would be a perfect thing, and something that I could see on the boat. We saw the bag. There was a bag that when Carly was on that boat, there was this bag that was up on the top, and it looked like it had been, like, somebody was frantically looking for rope. We'll have to go back to that. It's on Ashley Banfield's, but if you look at it, I remember seeing the bag of ropes, and then next to it was two, like on the other side of the bench, was two weights just sitting there. And I'm like, why are those weights just sitting there? I don't see that Lynette would just have this disarray there. Somebody was looking for rope and weights. That's what that message, that's what that was telling me. So, I mean, I could be really off base with that, but I don't think I am. And if we're looking at rope and weights, we're looking at somebody being plunged into the water and sunk. Somebody not on land. At the very beginning, I believe she was on land. There was a few things that have now deterred me from that assessment. I haven't given the assessment up totally in its entirety because we don't know where Lynette is. But it was because it doesn't appear that they were able to move Soulmate, that the only vessel that appeared to have been able to be moved was the dinghy or a paddleboard. I think he was very limited on resources. He made the best of because he's military trained, so they're taught to think outside the box. They're taught to utilize every resource that they do have at their disposal to help them get out of a pickle, especially if they're in areas where it's under heavy siege from a foreign adversary. They're thought they're like, look at all the people that when we went after Iran, right? We had a few of our pilots that wrecked their planes, and they were able to eject before their planes hit the ground. So they're individuals out there in this foreign land. They're expected to survive. One guy had Taliban behind him, and he had to hide in a cave until military could come and extract him out of that area. They're taught to survive whenever they're in pickles, and we have to remember that. They're taught to be resourceful. This is our military training. You got to understand, he is a highly skilled fighting machine, and we cannot take that away from him. Our military trains our individuals very well, not just for battle, but for life after battle. And we have to remember that. Highly skilled guy, smart guy, techie guy, knows how to disable his GPS on his van, was offered to resign or get fired. That kind of guy. This is a guy that's very smart, and we can't underestimate that. So I think a lot of people aren't underestimating this guy. His behavior sings to high heaven. The red flags and the spidey senses are all over the place when it comes to this guy. Nobody believes his story. And he's painted himself in a pickle because he's the only one that's been with her. Right? They're together. That's it. It's them two. So if she's been killed, there's nobody that could have killed her or murdered her other than him. He's the only person that had motive, means, and opportunity. And he gave this harrowing story of the perfect storm, this hurricane force, event that happened out there in the middle of Sea of Abaco. But here's the kicker: the only person that saw this happen was him. Now at 7:30. He must have been living in the future, because the stuff he was, and even the stuff he was, yeah, they're still there. Even the stuff that he is proclaiming happened, that we know couldn't have happened, he was the only one that saw it. Nobody else reported at 7:30, folks. I want to remind you, at 7:30, we have images of the water at 7:30. We have images of Aunt Pat's Bay. We have images of the Sea of Abaco. Folks, we have images of this night, of this, video surveillance. We have everything. There is nothing that shows the conditions that he was talking about. Even when we were looking at the video at 12:30 with the light on the deck going back and forth, where somebody was clearly up there searching for something, we didn't see the type of seas that he was talking about. We didn't see the boat just a rocket, we didn't see any of that. And that was even at 9:30. So even if squalls did come up, it was probably rain and wind. It probably wasn't, it was probably a little choppy out there in the Sea of Abaco. It was probably ridiculous, like crazy, like surfer weather on the Atlantic side. But on their side, it was calm and cool. Why? Because they have those barrier islands that protect that little Sea of Abaco from the weather conditions. So, I don't know. We're doing good. We haven't dropped, really. How's the signal coming in for all of you guys? Is it good? It's starting to get a little more full on the interstate. Hi, guys. Does that say Anthony France? It's nice to see you. I could have said Anthony. I'm just, usually when I'm on the road, I try to pop up the phone, and we realize that the Samsung works so much better on these road trips. So I'm running on the Samsung. We got the Apple running the GPS. Excuse me, guys, I gotta blow my nose. There's no other place to do it. I'm gunky. Sorry. I should have taken my allergy medicine. You know what's so crazy? I brought my allergy medicine with me. It's in my suitcase. But it fell. I wasn't going to bring it. It threw itself on the floor twice at me. I picked it up and put it back on the shelf, and it fell back down again. And I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, it's allergy medicine. Maybe I need to take this with me. And I packed it up. If you know anything about me, I have this weird, I don't know, behavior, because there's been so many times that I've went on trips, because when Jonathan and Olivia and I were all together, if there was breaking news, we packed up and ran out of the house. And where was I going with that? There was I lost it. It'll come back to me. I get on these little tangents, and I start thinking about something, and it just blows my mind. But what was it? What was I talking about? Well, let me see if you guys can help me in the chat. Hey, is that Sammy? Hey, Sammy, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. We're on a road trip. To Tennessee right now. I'm on my Samsung. I forget. I was talking about that when I was going on a tangent, but I forgot where I was going with my conversation about Olivia and Jonathan, but it had something to do with the phones. I forget. It's tiresome for me. I didn't go to bed. I tossed and turned until almost 10:30, and then my alarm went off at 2:30, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm awake. But I knew I had to have still been tired. So I rolled back over and tried to get some more sleep, and I must have, because my 3:30 alarm I missed, but I got up at the 4:30 or 4 o'clock alarm, and I got out the door within, I think, I brushed my teeth, put some, makeup on my face just to look like I'm alive, and packed up a few things, opened the dishwasher, because I didn't have time to take the dishes out of the dishwasher, but I don't want them getting icky. And sometimes that steam just stays in the dishwasher, and if you leave for a couple days, you come back and there's like little mold spots on. So I can't do it. So I open up, if I ever have to leave when I have a dishwasher full of dishes, I crack the dishwasher to let that air out, so it doesn't just stay in there and sit on the stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but there's been times I've left it closed and I come back and there's like little black dots on my silverware, like mold, and I'm like, ew. So I have to rewash it, and so I've just learned over time, if I just crack the dishwasher when I leave, I don't have that problem when I come back. My dishes are dry, no spots, no nothing. So that's what I did. I didn't have time this morning because I was wanting to get up at 2:30, and I was awake at 2:30. I looked at it and I'm like, can I get up? Did I feel funny? I didn't feel funny. So I could technically got up, but my mind was like, wait, you didn't go to sleep until after 10:30. I tossed and turned. I even left my best friend's house at like 5 to get home, to get everything packed up and get on the, get everything. I don't like doing it in the morning. If I do everything in the morning, I'll forget something, period. I'll forget something. So, how many of you guys in the chat right now, how many people do we have in chat? Hold on a second. Hi guys, we have 129 people in chat. Hi, I can see you. It's nice to see you. How many of you guys believe Brian... No, that's not the question. That's not the question. Don't, scratch that. How many of you guys believe that Lynette's going to be found? I'd like to see, one, that you think she's going to be found. I have to do ones and twos because that's the only way I can see that screen. Ones, you guys think she's going to be found. Two, you think she's gone forever. I just want to be very clear. This is the federal government. This is not the state of Tennessee. So whether they find her or not, Brian's done. Okay? I'm just going to tell you the evidence that I can see that they already have possession of, in their possession, custody, and control. I think they've got Brian dead to rights. I think they're going to charge him whether or not they find her body. But, oh, you guys do. I pray to God they do. I see a lot of ones in the chat. Thank you guys. I hope and pray that they do ultimately find her, because I think her daughter, out of all the things, not that I'm worried, I do believe he's going to be charged. I don't think this is premeditated. I really don't think. Will they be able to make it premeditated? I don't know. We don't know the evidence. But honestly, I don't believe this is premeditated. I believe no matter how we look at this case, this is going to be a second-degree homicide case. So whether they find her body or not, I believe they've got enough to arrest him for a second-degree homicide. So if he was going to get a second-degree homicide with the body, and he's charged with a second-degree homicide without the body, I'm perfectly fine with that. And that's kind of how I feel with like Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells' case as well. I don't believe that those cases, I don't believe that their deaths were, and of course we have Seth in our chat, which he believes his son is alive, and I want to say that because he, it's hard, but I don't. I think it's been too long. I know statistics. I'm not a fool, in matters of a heart, have you think of something, that's fine. But this child has never been seen or heard from since February 25th. I do not believe Sebastian is alive. I haven't believed Sebastian because I believe his mother murdered him. And it's hard, that's where it's hard because I want to help Seth and I want to console him as much as I can. But in all fairness, I want him to have hope. His son's going to come home to him, but it's hard for me to believe at this point that that is going to be a possibility. And so now I've got to look at this case. You know, I've looked at this case as a homicide case. Sebastian Ross case is a homicide case for a very long time. But I can honestly say I didn't believe it at first, right? I remember, and you can see me because I expressed it all on camera, all on my lives, that I hope that this is not what it's turning into being. You know, I hope the parents are responsible. And at the beginning, I thought Chris was home. I thought they were lying about Chris being home, and I thought Chris was the one that murdered Sebastian. So you can imagine when I started finding out everything about Katie and realizing how incredibly messed up the lady is, and how she's very violent, and how she has this explosive behavior where she's fine one minute and then just starts wailing on somebody the next minute without provocation. So it does change a lot of stuff, and this kid had, you know, fluid on the brain, a head injury. Any type of head injury could kill him. And it's not even that. It's the fact that there was a thumbprint on his throat, on his Adam's apple, from a prior event, most likely a prior asphyxiation event, and the bruise was fresh, but not so fresh that it could have been Chris. Chris had been gone for a month. There's no way that bruise on that Adam's apple that was observed on Sebastian's last photo he ever took with his mom. That was at Costco's. He had a big slice of pizza and a soda, huge soda next to him, and they were at Costco's that day, and he got a slice of pizza. And that was on the Saturday before he disappeared. He disappeared on a Sunday. He was never seen after leaving a restaurant with his mom. That was the last time any third party saw that boy alive. So again, I believe she murdered her son. I believe it was not premeditated. I believe that it was. Actually, I don't. I'm on the fence whether it was premeditated or not, and the reason why is because of the prior the bruise on his Adam's apples, the prior asphyxiation that showed me that somebody attempted to put their hands around that boy's neck prior to him disappearing. We learned that Chris was never home. The only person that was there at the house was Katie. I think she tried to kill him once before and didn't do it. He either woke up and went to school the next day and she thought he was dead, or what. This time she did it and she made sure he was gone. Again, just allegedly. This is all hypothetical. This is just my opinion about what happened to Sebastian. I don't know if any of this is true. Again, his father believes he's still alive. I do believe in parents having feelings, and having strong feelings about whether their child is still here or not here. And I try to trust that in a father. I believe it's more connected to a mom because the mom carries the child for 9 months. But again, I pray to God that Sebastian is found and alive and able to come home with his father. That's what I hope. I hope I'm absolutely 100% wrong, but we're past the 2-year mark. I mean, we're on our way to the 3-year mark with Sebastian, and not one person has seen him. Not one independent person, not one third-party person has seen him since February 25th. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And I think Sumner County is too incompetent to connect the dots. I don't trust Sumner County. I think the feds, as you guys can see, the difference between county police and federal law enforcement. Look at what the feds are willing to do to find the truth, and look at what the crap that our sheriffs do in Pima County as well as Sumner County for the same type of victims. They do shoddy, shitty work. It is amazing to me how we do not have a standard practice across our law enforcement at this point. How do we not have? How do we have different types of trained law enforcement all across? There should be just like there's standard training for us in our public school systems. There should be standard training for go the United States of America and receive the same type of education like we do here in the United States for our public education system. Yet, all too often, we've got people that are trained exceptional and people that are trained poorly. How is that possible? It's because, in my opinion, our law enforcement practices and procedures, investigative skills are not standardized. They need to standardize this stuff, period. They need to standardize this stuff, and they haven't. So, can you believe the sun still isn't up? We've been on the freaking road all the time, and it's still pitch black out here. Waiting for the sun. I'm waiting for the sun to rise. I am tired. I probably do need some caffeine. Let me get a soda. Find myself a little... Ooh, my sandwich. That's right. I forgot my best friend packed me a sandwich. So, cheers, folks. Cheers. If you guys are having coffee, this is my coffee. This is my caffeine. I need caffeine. I'm fading. I'm fading, folks. Hi, guys. Come on in. We're just having some conversations while we're driving. I'm on the Samsung because the Apple phone likes to overheat and drop literally through our entire travels. I find the Samsung does not do that. So we're going to be converting as soon as I can amass another, several hundred to $1,000 and buying myself a terabyte Samsung. And that should be a good phone for me to have, or a good long time if I get the appropriate phone cover, because I drop my phones. And the problem with the Samsung, and one of the reasons why I went over to Apple, is because every time I drop my Samsung, I'd break the screen, and it cost me $400 to get the screen fixed, or another $1,000 to buy a new phone. So I just got so tired of replacing the screens, because I ended up spending, I think it was almost $2,000 on one phone, because I kept dropping it and I had to keep having the screen repaired on it. So I kind of got tired of that, and I moved to an Apple. And in all fairness, Apples are a lot more durable. I've dropped this phone all over the place. It's never cracked my main screen. It has cracked the back of the phone. When I took the cover off, I didn't even realize the whole back of my phone is shattered, but not the front of my phone. So I'm very thankful for that. And then of course I've got the Samsung here that Jen had given me when I lost my phone, and I just needed some type of communication, and I could set up Google Voice on the phone while I waited to get my phone, back from ordered. I had to get a driver. It's a long story, but so now I have the Samsung, and we took the Samsung and added the Samsung for our hot trip over to Fort Pierce, and the phone never overheated and never dropped, not once. And so now I'm going to start using the Samsung for all of our travels and when I'm out in the field, because the Samsung doesn't overheat like the Apple does, and I can stay on this Samsung for a long periods of time without it being affected. So I'm happy with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. Good morning, guys. Come on in. We're having Lynette. We're kind of bouncing around we're just having conversations about true crime, but the three cases that we're predominantly been discussing is Lynette Hooker is our top case, and then we kind of dovetailed over to some Sebastian Rogers stuff, and then of course we're probably going to be chatting about some Nancy Guthrie stuff here in a little bit. We do have good news. As many of you guys know, 3-year-old boy disappeared from his home in Tennessee. I believe it was Tennessee. And, Clarksville. And they were able to find him. And we found out he was in the attic. And we're like, how the world did he get in the attic? And I realized that on a door, there was a ladder that climbs up to the attic. So it's not one of those attics that have the door and the ladders that you pull down and stretch out. There was an opening for the attic, and stairs attached to, like little climb stairs attached to like a door. And he was able to climb up the ladder door and into the attic. And so he was just kind of up there in the attic playing around. And everybody down on the ground was looking for him alert, and lo and behold, he's inside the house. So, you know, it's very, very important to clear the house first and make the attic. And when we heard it, but we saw the little boy being brought down from the attic. It was a good day. I can't imagine his poor parents. They must have been, you know, not seeing their son. And, you know, I would have to imagine the first thought that came to their mind is he either got out of the house or somebody snatched him. I can't imagine that pure panic and sheer fear, because, you know, 3-year-old baby, I mean, you're freaking out. That's a baby. I mean, a mom is freaking, you know what, out if she can't find her 3-year-old baby. So I'm sure that this is going to be a laughable story in several years, you know, when they are telling him about how he wandered into the attic and they had the whole entire world looking for him, you know. So it's going to be a funny little tale to tell at his 18th year, you know, his graduation, right? So I'm glad they get that story for him. I'm glad that his story ended so much better than a lot of the other kids in Tennessee stories happen. And you know, we don't know what happened to Summer Wells. We don't really know we have an idea what happened to Holland Snap and Layla Santinello, but we don't know, right? There's still theories until those theories pan out. And we don't know what happened to Sebastian Rogers. You know, we know that the story we've been told is not true. We've always learned that when parents or somebody is lying about something, that there's a reason to lie about. Katie and Chris have lied. They are compulsive liars. They lie about everything. They lied about the harassment that they were receiving. They lied about being stalked. They think stalking is somebody picking up their phone because they're in the parking lot and sees Katie walking, and they pick up their phone and take a picture. They think that's stalking. Like, these people are freaking boneheads. You have no duty of privacy in the public. If people are out in the public and you're walking out in the public, they have every right to take your freaking picture. And if you don't like it, guess what? Don't go out in the fucking public. But this idea that they're being stalked because they're well known, because everybody believes they murdered their kid, that's not stalking. People are freaking idiots. But either way, we're not. Oh, hey! I don't know who did that. Thank you, Lincoln with glasses on. Thank you. Who was that? Oh, Anthony. It's nice to see you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. So, anyways, let's get back to Lynette Hooker, where we are at with this case. We've identified that a lot of different things happened at 9:30. 9:30 is going to be a critical date, a critical time in the case. I can tell you that right now. Too many things happened at 9:30. The everything we've learned, the conditions we learned early on when we were trying to scrutinize the 7:30 weather conditions that Brian was talking about. We couldn't corroborate that. We learned early on from Ashley Banfield that the conditions worsened. This is long before we heard about a splash in the water, and this is long before we heard about the satellites going down. We learned that the conditions in the water did get a little messy, but they got a little messy around 9:30. So that's the first time 9:30 we heard about 9:30 in this case early on, was the conditions of the water, the conditions of the Sea of Abaco. They weren't what they said, but anyways, getting back to it, we heard that it did start getting choppier and a little worsen in that area around 9:30. Later on, then we learned that the satellite conditions changing. So now we're focused on. We heard that this the satellite went down at 9:30, but we had no real evidence that the systems went down. We did have Ashley say the systems, but she's been really hitting this case out of the park. And so everything that she's so far said is accurate. And so we've got now we have the splash at 9:30. So we originally had the conditions changing on the water. Then we had the satellites go down. We forgot all about that. We didn't really address that much, except for a few times. And then we find out there's a splash at 9:30. And now when we go back and start talking about the timeline and everything like that, we realize that 9:30, what significant things happened at 9:30. Again, the conditions changed out, the weather conditions changed. The satellite went down on their boat, and there was a huge splash near their vessel. So this tells me a lot. This tells me this is when whatever he had planned in the time, from the time they got into their altercation and he realized he killed Lynette, from that point to 9:30, by 9:30 he had a plan in mind, and he was executing that plan. That's what I believe. So I believe that could have been 8 o'clock. You know, we have the flare being shot off around 8 o'clock. So I'd have to believe that is the bulk of their fight. So how would this happen? Well, we saw them at the Abaco Inn. They did not look like they were happy together. They looked like they were already in a frustrated mood between each other. Why Lynette just didn't stay at the boat, why she went out with him that day, I don't know. I think she should have just stayed on the boat, especially if she was already pissed off at him. And unless they got pissed off at each other, he did something throughout the day. I don't know what that is, but we just know that when we saw them at the pool, they did not look like they were chummy with each other. They looked like they were very distant and very upset. I truly believe she had already told him she's leaving. I think he knew she was leaving. And I think they went out and got drunk, and they went back, and within a half an hour of them being on that boat, they got into a big fight. And that was it. And from that point, again, I don't know how the flare was used. I don't know if it was used from her trying to defend herself because he was hurting her, or if he just pointed it at her and was like, F you, as the final, you're done. I mean, he seems like that kind of evil piece of crap whenever he's drunk. He seems like a completely different person. That's the one thing about my ex. My ex was the nicest, sweetest, nurturing husband that I could ever have until he got whiskey in him. When he got whiskey in him, I was the biggest, HWORE, and, he was just nasty to me. And it wasn't like he could drink a whole entire case of beer, and he was funny and giggly and dopey and stuff like that. And if it was just beer, it'd have been fine. We could have survived with just beer because he was funny and dopey and everything like that. Never got violent, never got nasty, never talked to me like crap, never disrespected me. But the minute he did a shot of whiskey, it was like he would blink and you would already see a different person come out in him. Literally, the minute it went down his pipe, it like you could see a difference in him. It did something to his brain just that minute. And if he drank even more, it just got worse. I couldn't be around my ex-husband when he was drinking liquor. I couldn't do it. But beer, he was fine on beer. I never had a problem. He could just stick with the beer, but he didn't. He liked going out and drinking the booze, and I couldn't deal with it. It was awful. So I can definitely identify that there are some people that when they drink certain stuff or when they get drunk, they can turn into a different animal. I can tell you, Vince was a different animal whenever he was, and like I said, it depended on what he got drunk on. If it was beer, he was fine. Never had a problem with him. If it was like Captain and Cokes, Captain Morgan, whatever Captain Morgan is, a rum, he was fine on rum. But when he went to like whiskey or tequila, He was a different animal. It was something about that alcohol that did something to his brain that changed his makeup whenever he was drunk on those items. So could it have been the same thing with Lynette and Brian? It might have been. It might have been, but they didn't seem like they were happy when they were out there on. It seems like they were kind of nitpicking or not happy or being there, upset for 2 hours. She's probably just ready to go. And you know, one of the reasons why Brian was walking alone, hightailed back to the thing, just sitting there waiting for him, because she didn't want to be there. It didn't seem like Lynette wanted to be out that day. If you look at those 2 photos that we have of her, outside of her smiling and taking a selfie way, way, way far away from Brian, that's the only time that we could see where she looked normal, but they still did not look right. Because usually he would be right behind her smiling or doing something, you know? But he wasn't. He was on the other side of the pool. They were very far away from each other. They didn't even want to talk to each other today. So there was stuff. Could this be a first-degree homicide? Could he have thought right then and there, I'm done with this, I'm going to do it, today's going to be the day? It's possible, but how do they prove that state of mind? You know, no matter how I flip this around without him having a manifesto or something proving that those statements from earlier, you know, where he said he wished he would have finished the job and thrown her over, those will never see the light of a courtroom. Those statements, they will be taught, they're not going to come into this court. I'm going to tell you that. I don't think that, because in all fairness, even Carly or her mother would never even be able to testify on that, because one, maybe in light of her being dead, there might be an exception, but there's a hearsay rule, and unless they physically saw him choke her and say those things, I don't think they're going to be able to testify on stuff that Lynette told them. I really don't. So I don't think any of those statements, even when Brian is arrested for murder, I don't think any of those statements are going to be able to come in. So anything short of them proving planning of some sort, him searching his computer on how to hide a body, or how to commit the perfect murder, or something like that, anything short of that, I don't think they're going to get him on a first-degree homicide charge. So we're looking at a second-degree or lesser charge. And I think that they've got enough, or will have enough by the time they arrest him, to support a second-degree murder or homicide charge without her body. And honestly, I truly believe that's going to be the charge, even if they found the body. So I'm fine either way with the charging, as long as he's charged. I'm fine either way, whether they find her or not. I think they're going after him for second degree, though. I don't think there's enough here, and unless there's some evidence we don't yet know about, I think it's going to be very difficult for the first degree homicide, especially without the body. But we don't know what evidence, especially digital evidence, there is, because we don't know what he searched. We don't know how long he searched. They're going to go back into this man's life as far back as they can possibly go, until there's nothing more to look in his financials. They're going to as far back as banks have financials, they've already requested everything. People don't realize that they source everything. Every single charge on your credit card, they find out what you purchased. They find out everything. And now that we're a digital country, very limited people use cash anymore. I mean, think about it. How many of you guys have a $20 bill in your wallet? Maybe a few of you do, but for the most of us, we don't carry cash. We have credit cards. And think about the credit cards. Credit cards are line item statements that can be pulled at any time. So our government literally has us where, even though we have privacy, our government has us set up that when they need to break that privacy, they know every single thing about our life. We are so beholden to our vehicles, our cell phones, our gadgets, and our credit cards, okay? When we break the law and we have those items as part of our lifestyle, they can find out every single thing. They will even know when your freaking period is. It's disgusting how much our government can find out about us within 20 minutes. Okay? I'm just putting it out there like that. It's scary. all of the information that our government can find out about us in 20 or 30 minutes. They know exactly where they can go and say, oh, this is where she is. They can make a phone call or subpoena Walmart and have them give you every single receipt you purchased, including the attached video of you making the purchase. That's how insane the logistics are in some of these places and some of these credit cards, especially when you're like Walmart. Walmart by far is the best. Like their whole loss prevention logistics and everything like that is pretty impressive. They can literally show you walking around a store, purchasing the item, grabbing the items, putting them in your cart, and taking that cart to the register and ringing up those items and the receipt. I mean, it's amazing what law enforcement can get from a Walmart. And there's a lot of other companies like TJ Maxx and other big box that compete with similar things like that. But if you think about it, no matter where you go, even Brian, he's sunk right now. Why? Because he took his phone with him. He wasn't thinking. Even as if his phone didn't even work out there in the sea, and he's thinking it's not tracked. There's always a satellite following that phone, whether it has service, whether you're paying for the service or not. That phone's still being tracked all over the country. So I'm very interested in what they found. But they found obviously an area of major concern, so much that they brought 124-foot is their, in my opinion, their whatever it's called. I told you guys last night and I forgot it. Command center. That's it. The cutters is the command center out there. Usually when we're on land, they have RVs, big RVs that they have converted into this command center so they can look at maps and everything in real time right there at the scene of the crime. And so this is kind of a similar makeup as this cutter to me is like that mobile command center that they have in just about every single one of them. I'm smelling rubber. I am literally smelling rubber. I don't see anybody around me. Now there is people around me, but that is weird. I smell rubber. I smell rubber. Okay. Anyways, that's kind of where we are. How long have we been on here? I'm probably gonna. We're finally starting to get some sunlight. It's starting. Let me turn this off so you guys can see me a little better. Let me see if I can turn this around. So we're starting to get a little bit of sun. Let me see if I can turn it this way. Oh no, you guys are blocked by that. There you go. So I've got some light, folks. I got some light. If I turn it too much, you guys get that stick and everything. But that's what I'm driving in. Isn't it beautiful? A beautiful sunrise. A beautiful sunrise. We're gonna watch this sun come up. Hi guys, if you guys don't know what's going on, we are heading to Tennessee. While we're heading to Tennessee, we're talking about some of the cases that we've been covering. Sebastian Rogers, Lynette Hooker. We haven't really touched on Nancy Guthrie yet because I feel so bad for the Nancy Guthrie case because the Nancy Guthrie case kind of sucks a little bit. I mean, in all fairness, we don't have a whole lot going on in her case, and we should. Her case has been going on since February 1st. Lynette's case has been going on since April 4th. We're further along in Lynette's case, and she was in a different country with no freaking infrastructure. We got nothing. We got nothing on her, and we're further along in her case than we are in Nancy Guthrie's case, which was on land in Pima County. It's amazing to me. But what we did learn from Michael Ruiz is that they are bringing in some highly technological resources to help out in that case. What does that mean? I I don't know. Is it in the forensics area? Is it in a different, I don't know. You know, I just don't know. But either way, the case is not really advancing. And every time we turn around, Chris Nanos is giving us a bunch of excuses. We know that it takes a while for forensics to come back. That's why it was so critical for him to send it to Quantico instead of the private lab in Florida. Period. There was a reason why that. And for them to turn around and send the stuff to Quantico 2 months later, that enraged everybody. It enraged everybody because we knew for a fact that Chris keeps lying to us. The feds keep telling us that this is what's going on. He says, oh no, this is not what happened. And then a month or two later, we find out, in fact, that is what happened. Oh, well, we all agreed to send it to Florida. No, you agreed to send it to Florida because you refused to listen to anybody's suggestions. And it cost this woman her life. It cost delays. And you know what? At the end of the day, Savannah Guthrie is not happy. She's forking out $500,000 to find out answers in her case because of her shitty sheriff. Chris Nanos needs to be fired. And then you got this, the supervisors that acted like they cared about their citizens, but when push came to shove, and they had to choose party over citizens, that's what they did. Our government should be people over party. But as we saw with Pima County, the Democrat Party put themselves above the people. And I want you guys to remember that, because at the end of the day, the Democrat Party has been hijacked. You guys have been hijacked. And it's not for me. My party hasn't been hijacked. Your party's been hijacked. And you guys have got a lot of fighting to do to reclaim your party back. And so I understand that, being a political activist, that you guys were hijacked. And at one point I was unreasonable about it. I didn't realize it, but it took a lot of work with my Democrat friends to kind of make me understand. And so I'm starting to get to the point where I'm understanding, and now it's like, I try to help where I can help. And sometimes helping is just identifying the problem. And some people, they've been scratching their head wondering what's going on. Why is everything so crazy? And then you realize that their party was hijacked. Many of these people, they work. They don't have time to have their heads in politics 24/7. They just support their party. They think their party is doing right. Then they come up for air and they realize that what they're looking at is not anything that they support. People celebrating somebody being assassinated. That is not a Democrat trait. I can promise you that. There's a lot. I know Democrats. I know a lot of them. And I know that they're good-hearted Christian people. So you cannot tell me that there's the majority that want to celebrate assassinations. Absolutely not. So I just don't believe it. I believe somebody has hijacked their party, and and I think that instead of condemnation, it's identifying the issue and letting them know that, we're here to help them get it back. But at the end of the day, they were shit on out there in Pima County, and I feel like a lot of people are shit on around this country because their party was hijacked, and I just want to help them get their party back. So at least it's a level playing field for them and for us, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, at the end of the day, like I say, for most of us, we all just want safe places, good jobs, good schools for our children, just normal stuff, normal, reasonable stuff. It's just that how we get there and how we fund it are different from party to party. It was never about cracking each other over the head and doing this. I mean, we've always worked together with everybody. Like the Democrats have worked with the Republicans, or Republicans. It's whoever had the best policies we went with. I mean, now it's like, it seems to me like they're going after the worst policy. It's like, how much creepier can you get? How much disgusting can you get? Oh, let's make a bill for that. Let's show the world how gross and disgusting and horrible and everything we can get. It's like the lower we go, the more praise we get. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? So I just want America back, right? I just want our traditional America back, our Democrats, independents, and Republicans just fighting like we normally did, right? The fights we normally had were more like pillow fights. The fights we're having right now are like earth-shattering, we were going to bomb your state fights. This is getting ridiculous. That's not what humans and the human race is all about. It's just not. It's just been perverted. It's been twisted. It's just not who we are as a nation, in my opinion. And I think that we all have some self-reflection we all could be doing right now. Just my personal opinion. But at the end of the day, Pima County really screwed up Nancy Guthrie's case. And the sheriff is still trying to show face and trying to act like he didn't screw this case completely up, and he's not a complete abysmal failure, but he is. And the people, I watched the people go to their elected body and beg them for help, and their elected body turned their back on them when it mattered the most. And that's just not, that's not commendable, and it's not respectable. And I think the whole world stands with Pima County's residents. I think we're all kind of brokenhearted that Chris is still in charge, that there's not more being done. And it's going to go to a Democrat, prosecutor. Do you think he's going to be prosecuted for perjury? Of course not. Why? Because they're putting their party above the people. He deserves to be prosecuted. He deserves to be removed from office. And he's not even going to get a slap on the wrist out of everything he's done. And we basically watched him allow a little old lady to die. And he's still able to keep his job. That's sickening to me. That's sickening to me. I don't know. It's just awful. We got lights, folks. We finally got lights. Sonia, it's nice to see you. Dixie, well, hello, my love. I hope you're doing well. Guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. We got... we're doing pretty good. We got 136, about 106 thumbs up. That looks good. That looks good, guys. I'm not out of Florida yet. It doesn't look like I'll be out of Florida for several more hours. It looks like we'll be arriving in the area around right around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on traffic. So far, usually when we start, one of the reasons why I leave so early is because I don't want to be stuck in traffic. But the further up north we get, there's a spot in here that gets really gunky and it slows me down, but it looks like we're making good timing because we're already at like exit 330, so I think I only have like 100 or maybe 2 more hours left in the state. And we've already been driving. How long have we been on? We've already been driving for an hour and a half. We've been alive for about an hour and a half now, so I think we're doing good timing. It should take me about 4 hours to get out of the state of Florida. But if we're at, I think there's 480 miles in the state of Florida, at least 400. I think the last exit out of the state is like 480, if I'm not mistaken, on I-75. I think it's 480. And we're at 335, so it's about 150 miles. So that's about a little over 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. Is that right? 2.5 hours plus an hour and a half. Yeah, about 4 hours. Yeah, that's about right. I'm right now entering Marion County. So if you guys are following the travels of Bullhorn Betty, we're in Florida. We're in Marion County. I'm off of I-75. It's been, I'm tired, as you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see. My eyes are a little bit swollen. Not too bad, but I'm tired. This is going to be one of those things where I'm going to be ready to lay down in bed as soon as I get there. But we have some stuff we've got to go do, because we got to figure out what we're going to do for the family, for Cole and all that. Tomorrow's going to be a heartbreak day. It's not going to be a TGIF day. It's just going to be just a heartbreak. If you guys have something, a candle that you can light, something that you guys can do tomorrow to honor Cole, I, greatly appreciate it. Sometimes just those spiritual things are really sweet and kind, and just give out to the world positivity, and in such a dark day that we're going to have tomorrow, some positivity, some promise, some bright light, would help. So I know that we have a lot of prayers on our team, prayer warriors, so just pray. There's a lot of people that are struggling right now. I talk to people weekly that are struggling with, family issues, not even, life or death issues, just struggling with finances, struggling with this, struggling with that. It's just hard. Oh, Peggy, thank you. I appreciate you. For all the people that have donated, we really, really do appreciate it. It's going to give us the ability to do something a little nicer for Cole than what I'd be able to do by myself. So it's very much appreciative. We will definitely make you guys proud. I'm not out here by myself. Karen's coming out with me. I didn't, Sonia, I didn't know if you were going to come or not. I probably should have brought the bullhorn just in case you did come, but I left it at the house. I was scared that you wouldn't be coming, and then I would have to transport it there and back and possibly lose some more little things on it. So I figured, I'd wait for that. If you guys don't know what happened, Sonia spent like 5 months making me this bedazzled bullhorn, and it's been like my precious, right? Since then, it's like, and I was having problems with my green screen, and my green screen fell back on my little stand that you guys don't see that's behind my green screen in the office, and it knocked my bullhorn on the ground, and a lot of the jewels that Sonia put on, not a lot of them, a few of them. It's to the naked eye, you probably don't even see the damage. I do. And I cried when it fell on the floor and I saw the pieces fall off of it. I cried. I'm like, no! And I was so upset, like I cried over my bullhorn. And so when I finally did look at it, it's not that bad. It really isn't. It's just a few little spots that now have missing jewels on it. So Sonia's got to repair it. But, I've had it for years now. And this is the first time I've dropped it. If that doesn't tell you how much I honor and respect that bullhorn, I don't know what will. I've dropped my honor phone more times than the bullhorn. Like when I have that bullhorn in my hand, I don't let it go. And I wrap it. Like I wrap it in stuff to make sure that it doesn't get dinged, and if it does hit something, it doesn't have direct contact with anything. I usually wrap it in a towel, a thick towel, and it looks like a little ball, and I stick it in another like suitcase type thing. So that's kind of how I've always, and I've cared for it, and nothing's ever happened to it. The damn green screen. The light is finally coming up, folks. That's what's waking me up. Driving in the dark it can be tiring. It really can. But once the light starts coming up, I start waking up a little bit more. It's hard to fall asleep during the day. Just saying. Hi, guys. I can see you guys in the chat talking, but I can't read the chat because my eyes are not working, and I have to wear glasses, which make the eyes even worse. So when I don't have the glasses on, I can't see squat. I need to stop wearing glasses. I don't like wearing glasses, and they weaken the eyes. I didn't realize, I thought glasses were supposed to help you, but it doesn't. It weakens your eyes, so you're more dependent on glasses. There's got to be a therapy for your eyes to get back to 2020, I would think. They just haven't figured it out yet. Because if putting glasses on allows you to see but weakens your eyes, then there's got to be something that strengthens your eyes. I mean, I'm a common sense person, and if a muscle can weaken, then a muscle can be strengthened. That's my mindset. So why aren't we doing stuff to strengthen our eye muscles? I've never heard about eye exercises before. I'm just saying. I've never heard about eye exercises before. Aw, Phil, I'll offer my nightly rosary. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Anybody that wants to do something, I know the family. We've prayed. We've prayed so hard. Prayers move mountains, and the E family came out of anonymity just to make sure. Gosh, I'm getting goosebumps. Just to make sure that the prayers were getting to Cole. They told their names. Like one of the biggest things on social media that I didn't know at the beginning is, when I got into this, I was proud of who I am as a person. I never thought of being anonymous. I mean, the only reason why I went with Bullhorn Betty is because you guys named me, and I figured, name recognition was the way to go. Everybody knew Bullhorn Betty because that was the name everybody gave me outside of Gabby Petito's house. So that's the name I took. If I didn't take that, or everybody knew me as Andra, this would have been, this show would have been, Bullhorn Andra. I don't know, but it would have had my name in it. I would have never thought to be anonymous or not have my name. I never knew of trolls. I'm a normal person. I don't know of people that would just be nasty to a perfect stranger. Most people don't act like that. But we have mental disturbed people in this country that need an insane asylum, literally. And we're paying them to stay home because they can't be around people. So they are disabled. So we're paying them money to stay home and be on the computer all day and do nothing but troll people because they're mentally wrong. They're messed up in the head. And so that's, I don't know, there are some people that have mental issues that aren't nasty. So we don't have to live like this. We don't have to be like this. But people tore my life apart because I'm Bullhorn Betty, and they feel like because I show up at people's houses, they have a right to try to destroy my reputation and me, which is highly illegal, by the way. You can't do that. But I never thought to be anonymous. And so whenever I met with people, I told them, don't, whatever you do, hide your name, hide your name, hide your name. Don't ever let anyone know who you are personally. And if you haven't made it big yet, now's the time to start changing that stuff and scrubbing your system, because you don't want what happened to me to happen to you. And what I went through was bullshit. Prayers and love to the E family, safe travels, BHB. Oh, thank you, love. We appreciate you. So I don't know. It's just it was horrible. And then my team, they were as naive as me, and they went through hell right along with me. With the mods that I have now, I think it's only strengthened our relationship. We went through hell and back together. I think, even though I haven't even personally met a few of my mods, I feel like we have an unbreakable bond at this point, the ones that are here. And because we went through so much, we went through so many ups and downs. Ooh, we're crossing Ocala. I'm going under the sign that says Ocala. This is going to be the area I'm moving into soon. I've decided once I sell my house, I'm moving to Ocala. It's in between Tallahassee and my hometown. I would love to see my hometown, but my politicians have screwed up my entire community and made it completely unaffordable. So they're running out all of the people that have lived there for generations. Like I'm a generational. I mean, I'll still be a generational Floridian, but I have needs, and I don't want to have mortgage payments. So I haven't had mortgage payments in years. And I can't sell my house in Manatee County and buy another house in Manatee County free and clear. I just can't do that. And I don't want payments. So my choices are sell my house and take every single penny out of my house and put it down on another house in town and have a huge mortgage, probably have to get out another $200,000 mortgage just to be able to stay in my community and live in a house that I can live in. Or I can sell my house and move 2 hours north and buy a house with a garage and a pool and not have a freaking mortgage payment. It seems like a no-brainer to me. At the end of the day, I'm sick and tired of living in the house. My house is, after the hurricanes, I don't have the money or the ability to fix my house up after the hurricanes. We got the roof put on. That was as much as I could. My shed's gone. My fence is shot. I still have a lot of work that I haven't been able to get to because it's hot in Florida, and I just don't want it. I don't want to deal with it. So I want to sell my house wholesale and just let somebody else fix it up. I know there's a market for it in my community because our houses are so high. And I want to be able, if I can walk away from my house with, $235,000 or, right about $200,000, I'll be sitting pretty to come up to Ocala and buy a house. I mean, even if I did have to get a small mortgage, like a $50,000 mortgage just to bridge so I get the house I want, then that's completely doable, But to stay in my community, I'm not thriving in my house. My house is, I've outgrown my house. I don't really care for my house. I don't like my house. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't like it. Whenever it was fixed up, it was nice, but it's not fixed up anymore. It's gone through hell and back. So I'm ready to ditch it and move on. And so Cal is going to be, if you guys want to know, that's where I'm going to be because it's only 2 hours away from Tallahassee. And if I'm moving out of my county, then I'm moving toward Tallahassee because my advocacy, and I've said this before, I've been dealing with Manatee County and I've been doing advocacy at the Board of County Commissioners. But in all fairness, my control needs to be at the state, not in the county. Because the county, like, I got to deal with these assholes at the county. Like, I don't deal with assholes. You know what? All I want to do is I want to get my picket signs and my freaking bullhorn and go set up shop in front of every single one of my county commissioners' houses. That's what I really, truly want to do. And Tal's about to get the ugly end of why I have the name Bullhorn Betty if he keeps trying to censor people in our BOCC meetings. But that, I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done with my county, I've done as much as I can do there. Every time I turn around, they're being bought and paid for. So now it's time for me to take on the developers at the state of Florida and start fighting to prevent them. Because, you either have to have money or you have to have tenacity, okay? You either have to have the ground game or the finances. I don't have the finances. I only have the ground game. But I've got a big old mouth. I know how to use it, and I've got a lot of friends in higher places. So I've got the ability to hold people accountable without having to be a millionaire, Once upon a time, in order for you to be in politics or being taken serious in politics, you had to be a freaking millionaire. I'm not a freaking millionaire, But I can tell you one thing, you don't want to step on my toes. I can make you very, very uncomfortable. And that's what I bring to the table. It's not the fact that I've got money. It's the fact that I've got the wherewithal to make somebody squirm. I've got the wherewithal to take on freaking billion-dollar developers and billion-dollar counties. That's what I have the ability to do. That's what God gifted me with, the gift of fight. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, the gift of fight, right? So, well, the sun's up, guys. We finally made it. We finally made it to light. I can't believe it. We were riding together in pitch black just about, So it's nice. It's nice. Good morning. I can see you guys. Hi. I'm Bullhorn Betty. Come on in. We've been talking about everything. We're just talking about life. We're talking about cases. We're talking about emotions. We're just bouncing all over the place. So if you're just getting ready and you're just needing somebody to listen to and talk about life with, well, just turn me on. Go get your coffee. Walk around the house. I'm surprised we stayed on. We haven't had one hiccup with this phone this morning. I'm done with Apple. I'm done with Apple. I'm so done with Apple. I'm so done with Apple. I really am. It's just now it's the exit strategy. How do we get where we need to get? All right, guys, this is where I would normally turn if I was going to Summer Wells. Is at 358. That's our turn to start going toward I-95. But since we're going to Sumner County, Hendersonville, Gallatin area, we're I don't know. We're going straight instead of turning. So. Well, we have about, I think officially another 2 hours left of this drive. Yeah, it's about 4 hours. 4 hours and 15 minutes or something like that. So we're making good timing. Making really good timing. I think I need to set my cruise control on because I just realized it's nice to see you. It is light out. I'm Bullhorn Betty. Come on in. We're going to start. We were just talking about Nancy Guthrie's case, but we're going to get back on Lynette's case because Lynette's case has the most breaking news information in it. It's the most active right now. We've got a whole entire team in the Bahamas searching for Lynette's body. I expect Lynette to be remains at this point. She's been missing for well over a month, 2 months at this point. She's in, I think 2 months to, I think today's her 60th day, is it not? Is today the 4th? Let's see what day it is. Hold on a second. Today is the 4th. Lynette disappeared on the 4th, April 4th. Today's June 4th. So it's been, we're at our 2 month mark, folks. We're at our 60-day mark on Lynette's case. He washed ashore that Sunday. Well, not quite 60 days. I guess it'll be Sunday would be the 60th day. But he washed ashore on the 4 a.m. Was it the 5th? I think she disappeared on the 4th. They were out at the Abaco Inn. The 5th was Easter, wasn't it? The 5th was Easter because it was Easter weekend. She disappeared, and I think that they were out. And that was a Saturday, not a Friday, and so that means that the 5th would have been Easter Sunday. And I know that they seized the soulmate on Mother's Day. So we've got a lot of, holidays mixed in with this case, and that's going to be even worse because, again, she has a daughter. I don't see her daughter being willing to celebrate these holidays now when they all come to her mom, But I wish I had the map. I don't have the map on this one. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can move the map. Do I have the ability to put I don't have the ability to put the map behind me, but let me see if I can find the map real quick. Hold on. I know I took a picture of it. There it is. Can you guys see that? That's where the investigators are right now. Right there. That's where the investigators are, down here. So it's on the same side as Marsh Harbor, where they're searching for Lynette. It's on the Marsh Harbor side. It's not on the Abaco, or anywhere in between Marsh Harbor and their boat. Like he's all the way over there. So that must be the place of comfort for them, because remember, they're the ones that have the mooring over there in Marsh Harbor and rent from Conch Inn. And that Conch Inn is where they've been staying this whole time, over on the Marsh Harbor side. So we've talked about this path of least resistance when you're in the oh shit factor, what that looks like. How does that work with somebody's psyche and stuff like that? The oh shit factor, when you have the oh shit factor, it's oh shit, what have I done? You've got this overwhelming amount of adrenalines and endorphins flooding your body because you're in shock in part. you're in shock because you didn't mean to murder somebody, yet you just murdered somebody. So you're physically yourself, a lot of people don't take this into consideration, the shock of realizing your capabilities. So there is a shock factor even for Brian at that time, and this is what I call the oh shit factor, and it's where your body is pumped with all of this adrenaline and endorphins and stuff like that, where your brain is moving a mile a minute, yet you're not, you're trying to figure stuff out, and during this time, typically you're looking on the internet to find out something because you just can't think, or you're phoning a friend or family and saying, oh my God, I made a huge mistake, I did something terrible. And that's all part of that whole oh shit factor. And I think, in all honesty, that there is this oh shit factor, and I told you that with Brian, I believe it applies here. And when I express the oh shit factor and express what I'm trying to say, it's basically saying that they're not thinking normally because they're flooded with all of this energy, this unknown energy coming, which is your endorphins and your adrenaline. And so your mind, you're having to think of top of mind. So your mind is going to be trying to find a path of least resistance, but it's going to be finding a path of least resistance to a place that you've already been, that you know you'll be able to do or dispose of or commit a crime or whatever the case may be right there. So he's thinking all of this, and you got to remember, he's also under the influence of alcohol to boot. So we've got a lot of factors we have to take into consideration in the mentality of Brian at the time. So seeing that they're over searching on the Marsh Harbor side in an area that they're deeming Brian never telling them about, that he went to, I think this supports the fact that we don't believe Lynette went over. And if we don't believe Lynette went over, then we don't believe she took the key with her. That means that Brian had to have had the key to the dinghy. That means the dinghy was working. The dinghy was operable. The dinghy was moving. I believe he used that dinghy. I think what happened is something happened where he either lost the keys unintentionally, or when he got to the Marsh Harbor side again, he tossed them to play this out. And the reason why I say that is because there's a statement from law enforcement that basically says we were able to get the data from his phone, and it shows an area he never disclosed to law enforcement before he went back or made his way back. I can't remember the word. We talked about the specific word they used earlier in the show, but they said this one word that basically talked about him going back. Going back where? The only place he could have gone back to was his boat. And if he went back to the boat, that implies he was at the boat to begin with before he left and had to go back. So that's where I'm at. If they were in the boat, that means he had the keys. If he no longer has the keys to the dinghy, that means he had to move. I bet you anything, we're going to find some stuff. If they check around close to Marsh Harbor, then he powered the dinghy off, then he tossed the keys, then he picked up the oar and started paddling in just in case somebody needed to see him. That's what I believe happened. Now, that is a complete other theory that has no supporting evidence whatsoever. It's just a theory. But if they've got that road where he landed on Marsh Harbor, I bet you they might find the keys. I believe the keys are right around where they found his dinghy. I really do. I really, really do, because I know boat keys, and boat keys have a floater on them. I have never seen a set of keys for a boat that didn't have a flotation device on the keys. I haven't seen them yet. Even my dad's. My dad had this old foamy floater on his, and it was cracking and hard, and he had to put another one on. It didn't matter though. At the end of the day, he had floaters on his keys. Everybody has a floater on their key. It's basically either a styrofoam thing or a little, something that if you go overboard with the keys don't sink to the bottom of the ocean. They're equipped to have a flotation device on them to keep them to the top of the water. It's just a security thing, but I've never seen a boat not have a floater on the keys. So I just don't believe his story that she went into the water with the keys and he couldn't find the keys, even as she was, floating away. The keys should have been floating too. And for nobody to find her or the keys or the oar that he lost, and all of this was going on at the same time. All of these things are missing and never seen again. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I just don't. We know the flow of water, and we know that these things would have washed ashore at least within a mile of where they believe it could have washed ashore. I mean, you might be off a mile, but it's going to hit it's going to hit the same side of where you're saying it's going to hit, because the water works the same way as our weather, right? Your weather patterns, they change, but we have a good understanding of how the weather works and how the patterns of weather change. The same thing applies to water and the flow of water. And when you have barrier islands, things on the inside of those barrier islands are going to act differently than on the outside of the barrier islands. For example, in the Atlantic, it is choppy as crap in the Atlantic. That's why so many people go to the Atlantic to surf, because they have the waves and the current for that kind of conduct, that kind of activity. But nobody is going to the Sea of Abaco to surf. Okay, why? Because it's bay, and everybody knows bays are calm. If you look at anything, like even here in Florida, we have the Gulf of America side and we have the bay side. The bay side, no matter what, it can be stormy ass weather, you're not seeing it choppy over there. You go around the corner to the Gulf of America side, you've got chop out the wazoo. You go over to the bay side, smooth as butter. And that's my understanding of this area. This area was a similar type of area where in the Sea of Abaco, it's just smooth as butter because of all the barrier islands keeping the wind and the currents and stuff like that, flowing very gingerly, as opposed to being on the outside of those barrier islands where there's white caps and surfer waves. So I just don't believe the story. I shouldn't say we never believed the story. I think at first, no, I think for our team, I don't think we ever believed the story, because by the time we got involved in Lynette's story, Brian was already arrested. It was already May 4th, I think, April 4th or 5th. When did he go in? He went in on the 8th. It happened on the 4th or 5th. He was arrested on the 8th. I think we learned about the case on the 8th after he was arrested. So we had already had some indicators that he was guilty of something. So I don't think we ever believed his story, because he was already arrested when we got into the case. So if we were to be fair about it, I don't think that our channel has believed his story from the beginning. I just don't. I know that it's been hard because I lived on boats, of all things. Boats are some of the things. I mean, I'm not a professional. I'm not a freaking captain or anything like that. But when you have an upbringing on a boat, I was on a boat. I learned how to swim at 6 months old. I mean, I've been in the water since I was a kid. I've been on a boat. I can't even remember how old I was when my dad would take me and my sister out there on the boat, because my mom needed to go to work the next day and he had the day off, and we were kids, and so he took us out on the boat and take us fishing, and we'd just fall asleep on the boat while he's fished all night, and then he'd load up the boat and go home. Like we were raised on boats. We were raised on the water. I mean, my dad threw me into a freaking pool at 6 months old, taught me how to swim. So while I'm not a professional and not a captain of the water, and I don't read charts and I don't worry about the current and stuff like that, because I've never had to. We go out, fish. If the weather changes, we come back in. It's just that simple. I have an understanding of some of my experiences. Like I remember being on an island where the waves were crashing over our boat and almost, put so much water on our boat we had to pull the plug and just run the boat at high speed to drain all the water out of the cab of the boat. We've had a lot of different situations happen out there on the water that were unexpected, but we survived them, and there's been times I was knocked off the boat. I think every person in my family has been knocked off the boat. We were never swept out to sea, and we never lost our life because we got knocked off a boat. And you're telling me she was on a little ass dinghy and she fell off the freaking boat and she died? That's unbelievable for me, especially knowing that this lady has been living on this very boat for 3 years. And in my common sense tells me if they lived on this boat for 3 years, they've been overboard several times, both of them, for what knocked off their dinghy multiple times throughout the 3 years. Because I can tell you, I've been on and off the boats, not regularly, definitely not living on the boats, and I've been knocked off boats. I've been knocked off boats by, somebody gunning it and I just flipped backwards. I've been knocked off the boat because I had to pee so bad I had to hang my butt off the boat, and somebody decides to move the boat and not realize I'm peeing, and I fall backwards into my pee, into the water. It's disgusting. Yes, everybody been knocked off their boat, right? But what do? For our boat, we didn't have a ladder. It was, the only way you can get back on that boat is turn off the engine and crawl up the freaking engine, to the transom, area and climb back in the boat that way. That's the only way you're getting back in the boat. And so that for our boat, their boat might be a little different. It looks like they got several different ladders on their boat to climb aboard. That wasn't the same with my boat, So I don't know. We've got lights, folks. We watched the sunrise. Have you been with me since I turned the lights on this morning? You guys were with me during pitch black, and now we've got lights. It is lights. Hi guys, it's nice to see you guys. We're on our way to Tennessee. We have a road trip. We're just trying to have small talk while passing the time as we go. I didn't have time to do a live because, we're doing a live now, but a traditional live. I brought a computer. I didn't bring the whole office. I left the office behind, but I brought my Windows computer. Hopefully that's enough. I didn't bring any attachments to it. And I brought my cameras. I brought my still cameras, my Canon, just in case we decide to go out and take some pictures or do something. I don't think we'll have time, but I brought some stuff just in case there was something, because we got that lady. Did you guys hear about that? This lady has been missing since she was 18 years old. Her aunt believes that her sister, her mom, murdered her daughter at 18 years old. Something happened to her. And so the mom of the 18-year-old has been filing food stamps on behalf of her missing daughter. And apparently she's been collecting food stamps, and because of all this fraud going on in this country, we've had a huge fraud sector open up at a federal level, and I think they're doging all of our systems and finding out who the fraudsters are, and they're going after fraudsters in rapid numbers. A lot of people, and these are not people like the Somali fraud ring, in Minnesota. These are just one-offs. People that aren't affiliated with other people, just gaming the system. And so she was picked up in that sweep because her daughter's been missing for 9 years. 9 years. And her mom's collecting food stamps on her behalf. And I'm just sitting here thinking the only way that mother is collecting food stamps is because she knows her daughter's not asking for food stamps. Well, how would she know her daughter would never ask for food stamps in 9 years that she hasn't seen her? That she feels so emboldened to use her daughter's date of birth and social security number for government assistance. Her and her daughter were on drugs. So either she murdered her daughter or her daughter had an OD and she covered that up. One of the two things happened, in my opinion. I don't think there's there is a third option, obviously. her daughter could have went off with some dude to get money and never came back. There is that possibility. She was at a restaurant when she says her daughter went missing. So we don't know what the circumstances of that were, but I have a funny feeling if mom and daughter were on substances, they were probably fighting a lot about substances. And I've seen escalation of substances, who has what, why they're not sharing, all this other stuff from addicts before that have ended up leading to altercations where somebody lost their life because of it. Could her mother have done this? In all fairness, yeah, if her mother can take out benefits, it sounds petty, but if a mom can take out benefits for their own missing daughter and not bat an eye to it, then they're capable of doing the unthinkable. I'm sorry, that is a behavior parents don't do, okay? Even shitty parents, they don't open up accounts in their missing children's names. They just don't do it, because if they had nothing to do with their missing child, they hurt over their missing child. They're not going to disparage their missing child. There's just something about, even if you're out there in the streets, you ain't doing it. You'll do a lot of things, but you won't do that. So if she's capable of doing that, then she's capable of doing just about everything and anything. So never put it past her. But 9 years, she's been able to walk free. And of course, guess where this is? Tennessee. Because Tennessee doesn't value life. They're lazy. Their law enforcement's lazy. I'm so sick and tired of the DA. I'm so sick and tired of the law enforcement practices out in Tennessee. It's so widespread. It's disgusting. And we didn't know that we were stumbling on a bigger story when we took on Summer Wells' case. But I think the bigger story, not just these children missing, it's the lack of leadership. It's the lack of training for their law enforcement. It's the lack of training for their DAs. It's everything. It's everything. Tennessee is lazy. And you might say, no, they're not. No, we work hard. I believe the people do work hard. Your government is lazy. They manipulate you into thinking that they can't do more than they're doing, and it's a lie. And I can prove it. I can prove it. You know how I can prove it? I can compare Tennessee to Florida. Florida has by far more people in it than Tennessee. Yet we can process crime scenes and get people thrown in jail a lot quicker than Tennessee. Tennessee's lazy. They're lazy. Their DAs are lazy. They don't want to work. They want to take your money, but they don't want to give you the right service. They want to do the easy jobs. So Tennessee right now, they can't walk and chew gum. So they can't search for Sebastian, but they can search for people that are looking at images on their computer. They can't arrest a mom that's most likely abused her child, that they have probable cause of negligence and child abuse. They won't charge her. They won't charge somebody that's physically doing something. But God forbid, if Katie was on the internet and she was looking at photos, by God, she would be in jail. But her putting her hands around her son's neck and squeezing, she gets to sleep in her own bed at night. That's the problem. That's what the people out here on this side of the screen actually see when they look at the state of Tennessee. I love the state of Tennessee. I wanted to move to the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee was affordable, had affordable prices, nice houses, nice land. You can do a lot in Tennessee with a little bit of money. I love that aspect of Tennessee. But until the Summer Wells case, when I realized how corrupt the state was, how disgusting their law enforcement is, how still to this day they are protecting the pedos in their state as opposed to the victims. They still do, they make it a capital crime for a child under 5 to be AR'd by an adult, but not over 5. We in here in the state of Florida, if you are a child 12 years or younger, you are facing DP. That's sending a message to the pedos in our state. Tennessee has too many pedos at the top of their food chain blocking laws to protect their children. Why? Because they're preying on their children, in my opinion. The state of Tennessee is a disgusting, they want to show their red, they want to show their country, they want to show their Christian. And while there are a lot of people that live in that state and they are all of those things, the government of that state does not reflect the people in that state. And they are being conned, they are being lied to, they are being manipulated, all for power and money. All for power and money in the state of Tennessee. state of Tennessee, in my opinion, fire everyone. Just like Pima County. You know, I'm not for the entire state of Arizona to be fired, but I think the state of Tennessee to be fired. Because if there are good people, you don't see them or hear them because they're outshadowed by all the bull crap in Tennessee. All the lazy people that like standing up and saying, we do it better than anybody else, while failing and falling on their face over and over and over and over again. Meanwhile, kids upon kids upon kids keep disappearing and most likely abused and essayed and beaten and bludgeoned and dead at the hands of their parents, and nobody in the state of Tennessee will lift a finger unless it's an easy case. How often do we actually have any parent going to jail with no bodies? Zero. Yet we know of all these child homicides in the state of Tennessee, but they just refuse. They tell all their people, all their residents, you're too stupid to understand a circumstantial case, so we're never going to bring it. That is a culture issue. That is a lazy issue. That is a DA problem that has infiltrated your state. I can promise you there are a lot of successful homicide cases brought without bodies all over this country. And if you guys have a DA that says we can't do it, fire him or her. Fire him. And if you don't fire him, then you're enabling all these children's cases to go unsolved. So this is a direct hit for you Tennessee residents. It's time for change, and you guys have to be the change. This is getting ridiculous. Sebastian Rogers and Madeline Soto's case happened the same exact day. Found out around the same exact times. Within 3 days, we had Stefan Stearns here in Florida arrested and in jail. And here we're going on 2.5 years, and Chris and Katie still get to sleep in their bed. And we know Katie murdered this child, allegedly, and in my opinion, and Chris helped her cover it up, allegedly, and in my opinion. They deserve to be in prison. What they did to Sebastian while he was alive, they deserve to be under the prison. They deserve to be charged. They deserve to be charged, not with homicide. There's no proof of that yet. But they deserve to be charged with everything they did to that boy while he was alive. That they have proof of. And I know they have proof of. They have probable cause. I know for a fact Sumner County has probable cause. And I'm going to smear the shit out of them with the probable cause that they have. Because it's going to come out. Don't forget, I have discovery rights. We are going to push. We're going to push. They're saying that I'm lying about this. They want to ruin me. They want to throw me in jail. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what we can get. But I'm going to prove my case. And Sumner County, they're just wrong. And it's not even just I wish I could just say it's Sumner County, all right? I wish I could say it's just Hawkins County. It's the whole damn state. There has to be changes in the whole damn state. Are there some real small communities in Tennessee that might not have? No, I don't believe it. I think the smaller the county, the more corruption. I really do. I do. Because look at Hawkins County. Hawkins County is a small county, and look what Ronnie Lawson has been able to do to that county this entire time. That's corruption. That's pure corruption. Look at what my commissioners are able to do in my county. It's pure corruption. It's pure corruption. So we're fighting back with our county commissioners we're putting a noose around their necks and tightening them on a daily. That's what we're doing with our politicians here. I'm tired of them. And again, don't have money, but I have a lot of balls. I have a lot of tenacity, and I do what needs to be done to get the job done lawfully and legally. There's nobody that can. I study the law. I look at the law. I know my strategy. I know how to make people squirm lawfully and legally. I don't need to break the law. The law works for me, so why would I break it? I mean, that's what people don't understand. Everybody says, Betty's a criminal. Betty does this. I follow the law to a T. Why would I have to break the law when the law provides me my path forward to do my job well? I think we need to start finding Brian. I think that's our path forward. I think because I'm so involved in this Lynette Hooker case, I truly believe we need to find Brian. I think Brian is in Michigan, and I was hopeful because the Daily Mail, man, the Daily Mail's like freaking, they're animals, they're beasts. I love the Daily Mail. really do. If you guys haven't, if you guys don't support the Daily Mail, they have subscriptions and stuff. So of all the publications that you guys can support, Daily Mail is the one. That's the only one I would ever have you guys support. I don't know what they are politically, if they're, you know, right-leaning, left-leaning, or whatever. All I know is they got balls and backbones, and that's all I give a shit about, right? They get in, they get the job done, they get some intel. I don't know how they get their intel. I kind of do, but they're pretty righteous. They're right on, you know, and they get the job done. They were able to find out a lot of stuff in the Brian Koberger case. They were able to find a lot of stuff in Quentin Simon. I've been out at many cases with the photographer, one of the photographers for the Daily Mail, and I got to tell you, they're sharp. They're sharp, and they do whatever it takes. They're good. So if out of all the public, I never tell you guys to support any mainstream media or publication, but the Daily Mail, I love the Daily Mail. If there's anything that you guys could support, that would be the one. That for me, that would be the one. So, anyways. All right, guys, I think we're kind of to our talking points. I don't know. This is going to be a very, very long trip. It's going to be a very quiet trip, but I'm tired. I'm exhausted. We've covered just about everything that I can talk about. I can't do any research on this trip. I'm about down to a quarter tank of gas, so we're going to be hitting some areas along this travel that are hit and miss, where we're going to drop coverage or drop whatever. So, is there anything else that I want to talk to you guys about before I let you go? Gas prices are dropping. I noticed gas prices are down. Like when I stop, I'll be paying like about $3.60, so they're about $1 cheaper than we were, which I like. You know, everybody's complaining about this gas. Look, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm fair and I'm honest. Not, I don't really care. But when we were with Obama, we had like 6 years of over $4 a gallon of gas. 6 blessed years. We haven't even had 6 months of $4 gas with Donald Trump. And everybody's acting like it's the end of the fucking world. I'm tired of it, okay? And I'm tired of the double standard. Gas is already under $4 today. We're going to have an uptick and a downtick because we're trying to save the freaking world, okay? At the end of the day, we're trying to save the world. And the terror group in Iran is wreaking havoc on a lot of countries on that side of the world, including our own country, with shutting that Strait of Hormuz. Never mind the fact that they're a nation with people that were working. By them taking Iran out, they just lost. China and Russia just lost strength. And I don't see, with all the people that are bitching about China and Russia, how they can possibly be bitching about Iran when they know that that's weakening China and Russia. It's so stupid to me. Do I want to be at war? No, I don't. But I've also sat down and talked to a guy from Iran and picked his brain. And yes, I did do this. I was going, it was in Palmetto Point. I was out there getting signatures for petitions for Ed Bailey. I was out there by myself, and I go to this one house. It's right on the water, huge, beautiful house. And this little guy comes up to the door, and he's like, hey. And I'm like, well, I just wanted to see if you'd sign a petition. And he's like, and he brings me out of water, and you can tell he has a little bit of an accent. He's like, come up here. And so we sat on the stairs, and he tells me that he's from he brought his family over from Iran, and that they've been here for like 20, 30, or 40 years from Iran, that they left right about the time this asshole took over their country. He talked to me about his country being beautiful. They were never made to wear all that garb. They were never forced to wear all that garb. That's only happened in the last 20 or 30 years, where they have to wear, you know, women can't show their bodies and their faces and all that. That's untrue. They're forcing them into that because they are basically enabling men to be able to pick up any woman that they want. So if you're not wearing that, then you're free to take. That's basically their philosophy over there now. So when I talked to him, you know, I was very curious how he felt about the war, how he felt about our president. I can tell you that the guy I spoke to absolutely hates what the Democrat Party stands for, because they have helped oppress his country. And he's not with it. He is absolutely 100% in support of what President Trump's doing. His only concern that he told me is he's not sure if it's enough. He says we're this close to reclaiming our country back, but he's fearful it's not enough, because their government murders dissent. That means if they had a Bullhorn Betty, the Bullhorn Betty would be neutralized very quickly in their country. So that's coming from a guy that fled his country. That's coming from a man that still has family over there and still believes in a better future for his country and wants a better future for his country, and has told me that for the last 30 years, while they've been taken over by this communist regime that has murdered their family, the world needs to understand what we are doing there. We're saving people's lives. You wouldn't know that based upon what is being plastered all over the news, but when I speak to somebody that comes from that country and speaks to me about that country and what they went through, I'm listening to that. I'm not listening to people on the news. I'm listening to that person that came from that country that's telling me the truth, not the lies that my government wants me to believe. And that was I knew we were on the right side of this, but hearing somebody coming from that country and rooting us to keep going so they can liberate their family and their friends and the other people in that country, hearing somebody that's been here that ran from that regime and was able to save their family and is sitting here in America rooting that their family can have their own independence, it's a shocker. It's a shocker to hear the atrocities that happened over there. I hope that some of you guys open your... I didn't know how I was going to speak. When he told me he was from Iran, I just went and asked him and said, hey, how do you feel about everything going on right now over there? You know, that was my simple question. And he just went on and on and on. Very interesting. I wish I would have recorded it. I really do. But I don't think he would have allowed me to record it. But either way, I was very fortunate to have that conversation. And that's something nobody will ever be able to take away from me. So anyways, that's really all we have on this show today. We don't have a whole lot. You know, Sebastian's case is cold because it's cold because of law enforcement. Law enforcement wants it cold. Therefore, it's cold. Sebastian's case is cold because of law enforcement. Eric Craddock wants nothing to do with this case. The detectives wants nothing to do with this case. And the only way they're going to do something with this case is when the community rises up and decides to fight for this boy. I can tell you, we've been out there. The community has no fight. I love the people we've met out in Sumner County. For the rest of them, they can kiss my ass. They're disgusting individuals. Anybody that doesn't stand up for an autistic, a disabled boy is shit to me. So I think a lot of people go to church, but don't listen to what's being spoken from the book. That's what I believe. A lot of people like to go to church for socialization and to pat themselves on the back, but actually doing the work that's in that good book that they're learning about every Sunday, they might as well throw the book away. They might as well throw the book away, because I have met some deplorable, disgusting, sickening people in Sumner County. I have met some of the best people in Sumner County. But there's too few of good people in Sumner County. Too few. Too few. I don't know why people, they just don't care. Until it happens to them, they just don't care. So, you know, as evil as it is for me to pray, I pray for something to happen to every single one of them, for them to get a clue. It's a horrible prayer to have, but sometimes people need just desserts to wake them up. And I hope everybody in Tennessee starts waking up soon, because I got to tell you, sitting here and covering this case and listening to all of this stuff and going through all of this stuff, it's awful. And we do it too much, and we try to go into the communities and show them where the problem is, but they're too soggy in the brain. They're too manipulated. They've been manipulated for so long. They truly believe they're living in safety and freedom, and they just don't even realize they're one step away from being Pima County. I mean, in all fairness, they're one step away from being Pima County. Actually, Pima County is Sumner County 2.0. I mean, it's ridiculous. Except the only difference is in Pima County, at least they have people out there that have balls and backbones that are willing to stand up in masses. They had a lot of people out there willing to stand up to Chris Nanos and their supervisors. Lots of people. A lot more people out there in Pima County than there were in Sumner County. And Pima County had an 84-year-old grandmother. Sumner County had a disabled little boy, 15-year-old boy. And they get more, they have more balls and backbones over an 84-year-old grandma than they do a disabled kid. That's disgusting to me. That's something that entire community is going to have to reconcile before the pearly gates. Because, there's going to be a time, I truly believe when they get there, they're going to ask, what did you do to move the needle? And they're not going to have a damn thing. They stuck their head in the sand for 40, 50 years and did absolutely nothing to move the needle. They went to church and called themselves a Christian. I'm sorry, going to church and reading a Bible doesn't make you a Christian. Okay? I've met more Christians that don't Bible thump than I ever have the ones that Bible thump. Just saying. Just saying. Charlie Kirk wasn't he didn't go to church every day, but he was one of the most religious people that I've ever had the privilege of meeting. Very religious guy. Not a Bible thumper. Not somebody that's sitting in those pews every Saturday or Sunday or every Wednesday. But he met with his spiritual advisors. He made sure he was on the right side of things. He made sure he tithed. And he believed. And he believed in the Word. And he lived the Word. I guarantee if this happened in Charlie Kirk's community, he wouldn't have stayed silent. Just a thought. Just a thought. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe. But more importantly, kind to one another. We do have, if you guys would like, we do have the PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. If you want to donate for flowers, we've got a nice little pot of money for something to do something nice. So I just wanted to let you guys know it is coming together. Yesterday we were only going to have we only had $59 come in, but one of our gracious audience members sent me something very, very nice that will absolutely help. And then we had the few that came in today. So even if we didn't have that nice little nest egg that came in, we would have had about $100. So now we have a lot more money. The person knows how much money they put toward this, and so we will use it. And I just want to thank everybody for your contributions for coal. I'm not sure what we're going to do. I think I want to do something like maybe, a plant, not flowers. I'm not sure yet. But I also would like, because, there's nothing more expensive than having to bury your child. So, I might go lighter on the flowers or plant and, give them a card with some cash in it to help them with some of these expenses. I can't imagine, all the expenses. He had major brain surgery multiple times. I can't imagine the medical bills. I don't even want to think of them. But God bless this family. They've gone through so much. They've managed to survive, and I know they will survive. It's still heartbreaking, and we still try to lessen the blow as much as possible. But I have to think that what they need more than anything is some funds. You know, that this stuff is going to be very expensive, and I'm absolutely confident their bills haven't even started coming in yet. So if there is a GoFundMe, I don't know if my audience or my mods have the GoFundMe, put the GoFundMe in the chat. If you guys would like to help independently yourselves, please consider doing so. Coffee, you know, meal prep during this time. That's got to be really hard. The E family, they don't get to grieve like we would get to grieve. They still have an autistic child that they have to take care of. They still have their young daughter that they have to take care of. They don't have the ability to fall apart. They have to keep going for their children. And that's the hardest part of all of this, is the keep going, you know. But I do believe they're going to find a way to honor their son. If I know anything about the E family, they're going to find a way to make sure his legacy doesn't end here. And we're going to be there to support them every step of the way. All right, guys, that's it for us for now. As soon as I land in the area, we will do Eagle has landed live, hopefully from the hotel room, if possible. Karen, if you're still in the chat, don't worry about it. We'll go out to dinner tonight whenever we get in. So don't worry about eating. I mean, you can eat. I've got to eat. I got a sandwich. I think I'm going to probably eat the sandwich now. My BFF gave me a Jose Marty, baby. So I'm gonna eat my Jose Marty. But for tonight, we're going to go out to dinner. I don't know where. We're going to go somewhere probably near the hotel. So just FYI. All right, guys, I love you. God bless you. We will see you on the flip side. We're heading to Tennessee. It's a sad day. It's a sad drive. It's a sad ride. Please say prayers for the E family. Please say prayers for everybody involved. And God bless you guys. We'll talk soon.